All right? And then, not to wait further ado, we would like to listen to her presentations. And in this occasion, she would like to present her presentations about gamifications in higher education. Well, please welcome Professor Dr. Habil Andrea. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to share my screen.
Well, Doctor, Professor Habil.
Yes, welcome everyone.
Yes.
I am Andrea Benscik.
And then, yes, for your time, you have 30 minutes.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, and later on, after the second presenters finish also for 30 minutes, then there will be questions and answers. For both of you, the times for questions and answers is 30 minutes. And then for the participants who are going to ask questions, they may raise their hand or they may write on the chat box through the link. I think that's all. Yeah. Do you need us to help you in share screen?
I shared my screen, but I don't see it. I try it again.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Could you see? I am sorry. Could you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see, Professor.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you.
Yes, it's okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. I am Andrea Benscik. I am a professor at the Pannon University in Hungary and at the János Seje University in Slovakia. On the right side of this slide, you can see Pannon University in Hungary. And on the left side, Seje University in Slovakia. As you can see in the small map, these countries locate in the Middle East Europe, and they are really small neighboring countries. I think our countries are very different from yours. For example, characteristics of culture, religion, society, history, etc. That is why I would like to introduce them a bit. The pictures show Veszprém in Hungary. It is a really old and historical town with a very nice environment. It is worth visiting. After this pandemic situation, I would like to invite you to visit our country. Some information about Veszprém. Is it the home of Pannon University? As I have mentioned, Veszprém is one of the oldest urban areas in Hungary and a city with country rights. It is very close to Lake Balaton and not too far from the capital city of Budapest. Veszprém was founded on 7 hills. It had an important religious role during the struggle to make Christianity the official religion of Hungary. For centuries, the queens of Hungary were crowned by the Bishop of Veszprém. The city is still often called the City of Queens. Veszprém was among the first Hungarian cities to have a university. Student studies law and arts here for several centuries. You can see some information about the university. It is a relatively old public university for the Hungarian and foreign students on the highest educational level. International projects provide researchers and students mobility. It performs research and R&D activities and offers programs in 4 different areas. These can be studied in the following faculties. Faculty of Business and Economics can be found in Veszprém and in additional 3 towns. Faculty of Engineering, Faculty of Modern Philology and Social Sciences, Faculty of Information Technology. You can see the other town, which is Komárno in Slovakia. It is a nice town as well, close to the Hungarian border. Komárno is the home of Seje University. It is a nice town as well. The town is a center of Central Europe's Golden Triangle. It is a halfway between the capital cities of Hungary, Austria, and Slovakia on the river Danube. It is one of the oldest towns in Slovakia, and here can be found a fortress, one of the largest in Central Europe, that is a part of UNESCO list. The university is relatively young and small. It is a public university, firstly for Hungarian minority, financed by Slovakian government. It has 3 faculties, economics, education, and reformed theological faculty. Among these environmental conditions, we have continued our research. Its result will be shown in this presentation. The title of my presentation is Gamification in Higher Education, which is a case study. I have divided my presentation into the following main parts. First, I will show you the motivation of our research and the problem. After that, I present the problem solution, which is gamification. Following it, I show you the research questions, research methodology, and I will report you about reality, what our experience shows. At the end, I will summarize our conclusions and the limitation of the research. What is the problem which has motivated our research? General opinion is that raising and maintaining the attention of young people have been a problem for years on all levels and in all fields of education. Beyond the digital world, young people are not interested in anything. They cannot concentrate on one thing for more than a few minutes, and they constantly hang on screens. A group of researchers believe that this disorganization is inherent in our digital world, as the human brain is unable to develop as fast as the technology it creates. But It is also an everyday experience that they are able to listen to music, search in browsers, chat with friends while watching TV. It indicates that they can still pay attention to what interests them. In recent years, the numbers of research is seeking the effective ways of education, teaching, learning. The results shows that interactive methods increase the efficiency of education by giving students a deeper understanding of concepts and as a result of activity. They spend a significant part of their time in the classroom. Such interactive techniques make education more attractive, authentic, and satisfying. And full of challenges increase the efficiency of learning. One method that meets the above requirements is gamification. Several studies support that with the help of games, both children and adults absorb knowledge much deeper and more thoroughly. The logic of gamification is a blend of game design tools and psychology. It can be divided into 3 levels, which include regulatory, behavioral, and emotional components. That is also called MDE model. Breaking down to factors, you can formulate the 3 elements of the gamification system. For game mechanics, various rewarding tools are listed, such as collectible points, badges, achievable levels, challenges and mission, virtual asset, and gifts. Game dynamics denote human desires, such as reward, status, performance, self-expression, competition, and altruism. Aesthetics is the third and final elements of the MDA model, which describes what reactions the game process evokes in the player. These emotions can come from trying out something new, completing a challenge, exploration and adventure, belonging to a community, the opportunity of self-expression, immersion in a fantasy world. Players react emotionally to each part of the game, so they will have a game experience and develop their cognitive and social competencies. The above mentioned conceptions initiated our research questions. They are, first one is, what impacts does gamified education have on the students in class and out of class activity? How do they relate to the new method? Is the positive impact of gamified education on learning results demonstrable? And the last one is, what do higher education lecturers think of the possible application of gamification? Answering the questions seemed for us to be possible with the help of our own experimental education. This slide shows some information about our research. It was carried out in 3 steps. The first and the third were quantitative research, and the second main phase was a case study. As a first step in the last school year, quantitative research was conducted among students studying at the Faculty of Economics of a higher education institution. The aim was to map students' learning motivation factors and preferred classroom tasks. Based on the results of this phase, we prepared a gamified curriculum for fourth-year students studying for a master's degree. In the third step, students and teachers from different universities evaluated the semester and the gamification as a teaching method. As I have mentioned in the first step, we asked students about their learning motivation and style. We had three hypotheses. You can see them in this slide. These revealed significant differences between the linking of gamified solution and solving real problems, between internal motivation and gamified solution, and between internal motivation and the linking of real problems. Summarizing the results, students driven by internal motivation liked real problems and were glad to solve them in a gamified form. Before the real practice and use gamified course, we had to prepare and to establish our case study. It means that in case of a gamified course, it has to be defined and characterize the group of participants of the game. This task is called persona forming. In our research, persona generation was aided by the evaluation of student questionnaires in the first step. Accordingly, our persona, members of Generation Z, their learning is mainly driven by internal motivation, don't mind having to work harder if the task is interesting. They like to solve real problems with the help of games. They like to perform and present less. They play some online game every day. And they like strategy and logic games best. Based on the results of the first phase, we prepared the gamified curriculum for fourth-year students studying for a master's degree for a seminar course related to management subject, which was taught in the spring semester of 2020. The two main topics of the course were knowledge management and change management. The students had sufficient preliminary studies and acquired special knowledge of the subject necessary for the seminar during theoretical lessons. The course was taken by 68 students divided into two seminar groups. Seminar classes were conducted on weekly basis in two lessons. The logical process of the course is shown in this figure. At the beginning of the semester, a virtual classroom was created on the Google Classroom site for students to join. With the help of Google Docs editor and Excel table called Progress Indicator was created, in which everyone could keep track of their own and the others' progress, completed task, the current status of points, levels, and badges. In the preparation for the course, students formed small groups, 7-8 people, and worked in permanent composition throughout the semester. The background of Gamified Task was a self-founded company, which was freely chosen and built on the students' creativity. They formulated vision, mission, scope of activities, and named the main problem. 9 companies were established, the problems of which could be solved in a customized way through solving compulsory tasks. The activities and formulated problems of the established companies are collected in the table. The tasks solved during the semester built on each other in their logic to solve a company problem defined by the students, built on the theoretical curriculum, change and knowledge management. In addition to problem solving based on the logic of Prof's model, students had to work out conditions and steps for implementation of a knowledge management system that ensures successful organizational operation. Problem solving and task completion were supported by film screenings, analyses, situational games, and personality tests. They could test their own progress during the semester in the Kahoot program using individual and group quizzes we had created. Some tasks were solved during lessons, while others had to be uploaded to the Google Classroom site. During the semester, they could collect 400 points. They are the so-called XP points known from video games, which belong to 8 levels. These are rookie, interested, inquisitive, knowledge thirsty, eager to learn, hardworking apprentice, master, and grandmaster. After completing a task, an immediate feedback was provided with help of the evaluation of results and collected points. Twice during the semester and in the final session, they demonstrated their progress in problem solving to the other companies in a presentation. By the end of the semester, all small businesses had met their main goal, problem solving, albeit at different levels. The success of the method was measured in 2 ways. At the end of the semester, the participating students were asked to complete a brief questionnaire. Using a closed-ended question, students assessed the semester on a 4-point Likert scale, answering how much they agree with the provided statements. In the last open-ended question, they were asked to give their honest opinions, suggestions, comments about the lessons. Another element of backtesting was the comparison of their learning results with those of students in the previous year's non-gamified course. During the course evaluation, 49 students expressed their opinion by answering questions summarized in 5 groups. You can see the answers. They like attending the classes and they found them interesting. The second group of questions investigated how the students experience solving tasks through a self-created company. They answered that gamification is a good idea and they would prefer similar opportunity for other subjects as well. In the third group of ideas, students evaluated the system of points and badges. Students' opinions were that they are a good idea, made the subjects more interesting, and would prefer similar solutions. The fourth group of questions explored the students' experience with the Google Classroom site. In case of Generation Z, it was no problem. handling it didn't cause any problem. They had all the information in one place. In the last fifth group of questions, the students were asked to compare the gamified solution of the course with the seminar lessons of other subjects. Their opinions can be seen in this table. As the next step of evaluation, the study results of the students attending the gamified lessons were compared with those who attended the traditional course. Table shows that the results of those studying with the new solution have significantly improved compared to the students attending the traditional course. The biggest differences are in cases of A, C, and D marks. As the third step of the research, we asked 24 institutions in higher education to share their experience with and the evaluations of gamification. 273 responses were evaluated during the questionnaire survey. Experience with the application is summarized in this table. You can see that only a half of colleagues applied this method yet, and only 1/3 of colleagues have applied it, but they prefer traditional education. As an answer to the question, what subjects have you gamified or would like to gamify? In most cases, foreign language education was marked, followed by the field of economics, for example, management, marketing, corporate economics, micro and macroeconomics, and then mathematics. Based on the respondents' opinion, the advantages and disadvantages are summarized in this table. The application of gamification in higher education makes knowledge transfer easier. It attracts students' attention, positively affects competitiveness, and motivating class activity. Preparation time was mentioned as the biggest disadvantage. As a conclusion, we can answer our research questions. The students were familiar with all the tasks, expectations, and they choose the main scope of company activities and the problem to be solved. This ensured that they were able to realize the main goal to be achieved, solving their own company's problem by the end of the semester. We don't claim that the developed solution is perfect, but compared to previous semesters, the students were able to achieve better results. Unfortunately, there is no trained teaching team, which is true in our case as well. In many previous cases, inconsistency led to the failure of game experiments in education. About the limitation of our research, we managed to try the new method on a relatively small course, so our results are true only for the observed course and the students participating the experiment. Thus, we cannot generalize the results. Another limitation was the lecturer's inexperience, which may distort students' opinion. It is also possible that what they felt as a problem of the method was actually a consequence of lecturer inexperience. It was also a problem and influences the success of the course that during the course, the students cannot yet get involved in the use of similar methods in the case of other subjects. We would like to continue our research and use this method in case of additional subject as well. Thank you very much for your attention.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Habil. You have presented very comprehensive research that you have done. Thank you very much. And I'm sure that your research will make us to research comprehensively from several points, and we have to do it not only in a very short time, but it's long time. And well, later, the time for participants to ask questions. Be patient, prepare your questions, and we are going to have the second presenter. Well.
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay.
Is it okay if I have a question for
Second presenter
Andrea?
is Dr. Hisham. Dzakiria, nice to see you again, Doctor.
Nice to see you too.
All right. When I look at his CV, wow, long CV, 36 pages. Should I read all?
No need, no need.
No, all right. Well, dear participants, I would like to present only brief CV of Dr. Hisham Dzakiria. First of all, about career objective. Dr. Hisham mentions that his career objective is to continue expressing his abilities within the lifelong learning and profession development and soft skills development industry offered to me as part to him as part of the dynamic and versatility of a challenging position. Right? Dr. Hisham now work at Universitas atau dalam bahasa Melayu University Utara Malaysia or UMM, right? North University of Malaysia. And about his education, he held PhD qualifications and also multiple college degrees, and he has worked for about 25 years in teaching, research, training, and consultative work ownership. And beside that one, also she has a talent for quickly mastering new educational technology and ergonomics to support open distance learning, e-learning. So Dr. Hisham has been familiar with e-learning actually long before the COVID pandemic appeared. And also he likes to deal with some excellent leadership and also team building, communications, and problem-solving skills. Right. And about a skill summary, yes. He has a lot of skills, training and coaching, superior research ability, superior communication skills, soft skill course designer, competent and proficient English language user, computer savvy, customer service, general office skill, marketing, sales, mobility program, educational leadership, lifelong learning initiative, continuous professional development or CPD, and then professional presentation. All right, about working experience. Sorry, first about professional experience. The first one is as a master trainer. And then second one, postdoctoral fellow at Commonwealth of Learning, Canada. And then as associate professor at University Utara, Malaysia. And he has a long list of positions during his time in University Utara, Malaysia. And yes, I think I don't want to read all of his CV. There are so many. And now I would like to introduce what Dr. Hisham would like to present. This is the title, Exploring New Frontier with Blended Learning, Approach as Pedagogical Alternative to Conventional Classroom to Enhance Learning Interactivity for Post-COVID-19 Era and Beyond. So the keyword is exploring new frontier with blended learning to enhance learning interactivity for post-COVID-19 era and beyond. Well, Dr. Hisham, I think it's time for you to present what you have prepared.
Yes.
And dear participants, please welcome Dr. Hisham Dzakiria, PhD. Time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. Assalamualaikum, a very good evening to all. Greetings to Mr. Chairperson of the conference. Tabik pun to all. So just now, Dr. Ari has already read my title, which I'm going to read again, which is Exploring New Frontier with Blended Learning Approach as a Pedagogical Alternative to Conventional Classroom to Enhance Learning Interactivity for Post-COVID-19 Era and Beyond. So I'm going to be presenting this topic based on a research that I am doing. So I will also be sharing the preliminary findings. Yeah, research is not finished or complete yet, but I will, or I love to actually share some of the preliminary finding of the research. Can I ask the host to upload my PowerPoint, please? Okay, so there is the title there, and Dr. Ari is very right. When he's exploring new frontier, exploring new frontier. Okay, we go to the next page. So the next page is the question with what is new. Yeah, can we go to the next page? So if you go to the next page, I'm asking all of us, what is new? So if you look at COVID-19 around the world today, in many countries, the cases are rising, is going up. Whether it's in Indonesia, whether it's in Malaysia, in US, India, Bangladesh, everywhere in the world, it's going up. So there's nothing new about the disease. It's only growing at the moment. It's causing a lot of chaos in many society and nations. People sometimes are struggling of how to go about with the disease. And what is most important for educationists, people like you and me, we are constantly struggling and asking the very question, what can we do? How can we cope with the disease? And what can we actually do to help our students continue studying, continue learning? Yeah. Slowly, we human beings are adopting, assimilating, integrating the new normalcy. So if you see on a daily basis, all government, all Ministry of Higher Education in Indonesia, in Malaysia, everywhere, we are constantly trying out new things. Yeah. Just now we had a presentation on gamification. Yeah. For some and for many, perhaps games is the way forward. Okay. For others, they are using different platform, different approaches. So every single day we see constant experimenting of possible ways and possible approaches to help our students learn. And this is true for all segments and facets of human lives and activities, including education. So education must change. I always say to all my friends, if we go to the next page, okay, COVID-19 and its impact on education. I have always said that COVID-19, yes, it is very ugly because so many people have died from COVID-19. If you look at the death in US, death in India, the death in many nations, it's just sad to see such numbers rising every single day. But certainly COVID-19 too has a lot of goodness in it. Okay, for one, in education, it allows us to actually experiment. We have been talking about new ways of learning, new ways of teaching many years ago. Online learning, e-learning has been in the picture, right? Many years ago. And some are always planning to do online teaching, 100% online teaching for many years ago, but have not done that. So COVID-19 have actually forced many to actually be more creative, be more sensible with the change that is happening around us. Okay, how do we teach? How do our learners learn? And how do we actually maintain learning so that students are always continuously feeling interested to learn? How do we make learning appealing? Right? Even though they have to learn, they have to go through all the classes at home. How do we make activities interact, with much interactivity? How do we make education much more engaging so that it will always provoke our children's mind to explore, to create? So these are the main questions, yeah? So globally, COVID-19 is impacting every nation. You know it, I know it, we all know it, yeah? Students and teachers of all ages, from kindergarten to grade 12 to universities and colleges, are all being impacted. Many are feeling uneasy to learn with the new way of learning. Some are still not very familiar. We have teachers of different ages. Some are in the 50s, some are in the 60s, some are very young, right? So there's a disparity of competency in the use of online learning, in the use of technology to teach. How do we train them? How do we actually improve technological competency? How do we actually improve digital literacy among our teachers and learners? So these are main questions, right? Institutions are struggling to stay relevant. Say, if you look at many universities in the US, in European countries, for example, as well as in many other nations, they are struggling. Because when you don't have students on campus, a lot of business on campus cannot open. A lot of buildings are not being used by our students. Therefore, right, many institutions are struggling to cope and remain open amidst declining revenues. Teachers and students are struggling to teach and learn. So this is the key point which I wanted to explore and share this evening. Yeah? And many stakeholders are overwhelmed with COVID-19 related issues, right? Either, it's due to partial lockdown or other restrictions. We are just overwhelmed. But nevertheless, we must not feel disappointed for a long time. As I said, there's always goodness in COVID-19. It allows us to actually build new network. We are now, if you look at UUM, we are now constantly finding partners everywhere. We are now actually engaging students everywhere from different universities to engage with our students. We are now also asking our teachers to be trained and to retrain themselves so that their competency on the use of online learning gets better from one day to another day. Then we go to the next page, please. Yeah. So let's do a reality check here. Okay. What is the reality? We, you and me, teachers, right? Schools, colleges, and universities still have the obligation to render our services to our students. It is our task, it is our responsibility still to teach. But the big question, of course, is how do we teach effectively? How do we maintain interests? How do we maintain energy so that our students are continuously energized when they go online? How do we maintain attention? You and me know that many students, attention span is short if the content is not appealing. Attention span is short if content and ensure education is provided to students. Students have to learn, whether they are in Indonesia, they are in Malaysia, wherever they are from, they have to continuously learn. Students have to grow. We have to grow their mind. We have to feed their mind with knowledge, right? Some nations are calling, being knowledge society. What is knowledge society? If you look at what Professor Krashen presented this morning, right, he's very concerned about reading. And reading is key to life. We have to make sure that our students are continuously being fed with knowledge, that they must read continuously, that they must learn continuously. Our nation, Indonesia, Malaysia, America, UK, everywhere, right? The future of today's nation depends on the youngsters of the nation. And education is key. Education is key, all right? We have to ensure that we deliver education. But the big question today that I'm asking all of you, what is the best way to allow our students to learn? What is the best way to allow our teachers to explore avenues, to explore platforms to teach? Okay, that is key. If we get the right formula, if we're able to actually do it rightly, and then we can ensure that our students are able to learn, and they can learn even during COVID-19. Okay, can we go next, please? The key question or the key points that I wanted to make here is, number one is the new normal demand change to what we do and practice. So we can't be teaching and expect the teaching to be within the four walls. We cannot be teaching face-to-face all the time, okay? However, I also would like to share to you, there are many research that shows students in Asia, students in Malaysia, students in Indonesia, students in India, students in the greater Asian countries, the students are not yet ready to have 100% online learning. Okay, they still need to have that one person in front of them being called a teacher to teach them. They still need that physical touch by the teacher. Okay, so unlike students in Australia or in America, which are much more familiar with online, and they have been doing online learning for many years. Yeah, if you look at UK Online, they are offering online courses not just for postgraduate studies, but they are offering online for all human activities, whether it's fishing, whether it's gardening, whether it's golfing. You can all learn online. Okay, but for the Asian students, online and to do full online learning and teaching is still a struggle because we are not accustomed. However, the new normal demand change. We have to change how we think and what we do things. We have to relearn all these skills. We have to redesign our mind with the new tools that we have. We have to increase our competency in using technology. We have to increase our competency, our literacy, digital literacy must be improved. Okay. Second question, how do we teach and provide good learning opportunities to our students? How do we teach and provide good learning opportunities? Right? Imagining and seeing that all our students are at home learning. How do you teach? How do you actually engage them? How do you provoke their minds? How do you actually touch them? Right? Provoking them. How do you ensure interactivity? So these are the things that we have to keep on asking and keep on experimenting, right? Trying something new. It may not work well. Try something else, okay? The third question, how do we cope and manage all factors? How do we support and manage remote learning? So if you look at for the past 6-7 months, remote learning is the buzzword. Everybody is going remote learning. But what is remote learning and how do you support remote learning? How do you equip your teachers with the tools to do remote learning? And how, the most important question, how do you actually equip your students so that they can learn effectively in remote learning? How do we support online learning? How do we ascertain and maintain learning interest among students? So these are among key questions that we all must ask and must seek for the right answers. The next question is, how do we ensure learning and teaching is engaging and interactive in the new normal? How do you do that? Knowing that students' attention span is very short, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes. If we don't do it right, if we don't have the right formula, then you will just kill their attention. How do you provoke students to read, to learn more, if our approach is not appealing? And of course, how do we ensure quality? How do we ensure high quality in our courses? How do we ensure quality learning? How do we ensure that what the students are receiving in post-COVID-19 and many, many years to come are quality learning opportunity, right? So I have many more questions. These are some of the basic premise where we have to really ask questions, okay? So can we go to the next page? So learners are unique, yeah? Learners are unique. I think we all know that learners, your learner, my learners, the learners around us could be the same or they could be very different with one another, right? Even if in a family, if you have 3, 4, 5 children, each one of them are learners and they can be very different or very similar, right? Okay, what works for some may not work for others, yeah? And if you look at COVID-19, COVID-19 has brought upon many issues in education, from technological support, Wi-Fi availability, digital competency, and many, many more. So we have seen COVID-19 brought upon us so many issues that must be addressed, right? So let's just put aside all these economical issues and whatnot. Even for educational issues, there are so many. There are so many. And if you look into the literature today, there are so many scholars doing research, doing work, doing article writing on issues that they are not understanding yet, that they're trying to seek for solutions, because COVID-19 brought so much uncertainty. There's so much that is uncertain. Will school be open next year? Will school remain closed for the whole year until the end of this year? What will happen? Are we going to have a smaller number of students? So how do we go about doing that? Yeah? So the world will never find certainty as opposed to uncertainty into what the future holds. Yeah? As such, we have to work and ensure that we are speedy enough to change. We must be flexible enough to change, and we must be visible in what we do best, that is to teach, okay? So the possible solution that I wanted to share here is one of the finest options in education today is to adopt a blended approach in our teaching and learning. So when I say blended here, what I meant here is blending our approach, yeah? Perhaps if you can have some face-to-face, that is very good, but if you have to go online, you have to marry the two, right? Perhaps today, with the situation that we are facing today, we perhaps have to do a 60-40, 60% perhaps online, 40%. Hopefully, we can do face-to-face. But I wanted to focus more into what I meant by blended within the content of the courses that we teach. Yeah, why blended? And we go to the next page. As educators, we have to serve all learners, yeah, all type of learners, and able to support their learning. So blended approach allows one to mix and match and plan the teaching and learning in a way that is much more flexible, inviting, and appealing. Blended learning harnesses student-centeredness in its approach. So I am sharing this presentation based on a very small research that we're doing qualitatively on students who are taking public speaking, and we are teaching the course using blended learning. So when we teach the course using blended learning, so we do many different things. So for example, we have online videos, yeah. We also ask students to actually find materials on their own on public speaking. we also ask students to actually use different resources. So we want students to be resourceful with all the resources that they have around them. So learning is actually guided and ventured more by the student, and we as teachers becomes more of a facilitator, and it is working very well. So the preliminary research finding shows that students love when we teach them using blended approach. It allows and support more opportunities for students and teachers to be more creative and innovative. Can we go to the next page? So these are the preliminary research findings. Number one, results indicated that students were in favor of blended learning, because when we actually provide different platform and different tools, i.e. using online videos, i.e. using games. We also have games when we teach public speaking. We also want the student to actually listen to very good public speakers from videos. And we also have activities, group activities, and we have many more different games that we actually engage students' mind on the pretext of public speaking. They are enjoying it more, right? It is more enriching. Students felt that they learn as much or more than they did in traditional method of teaching and learning. And from the verbatim quotations that we are getting, students are much more fulfilled when they are approached in learning using blended learning. Yeah. Specifically, the research findings suggest that blended learning has the potential of enhancing learning interactivity and minimizes the sense of isolation among the learner, even via online learning, which is very good. So the research also illuminated students' greater sense of belonging in the courses that use synchronous communication, although they enjoyed the flexibility of asynchronous communication. So basically, from our research, it is showing that, can we go to the next page? It is showing that blended learning is actually a promising platform or approach in education. So the new normal warrants all stakeholders in education to always be ready for the uncertainty and to continuously create, innovate, and inspire. They will always be a solution to all issues. So not to worry, yes, COVID-19 is actually ugly and bad, but in many, many ways, it opens up opportunities. We need to remain focused and continuously be passionate with what we do. Like what Professor Krashen says this morning, whatever that we do has to be compelling. Okay, whatever that we do has to be appealing to all the stakeholders, namely, most importantly, to the students. Learning and teaching can take place in many forms and platforms. Home education, if you look in Malaysia today, due to COVID-19, home education or homeschooling is getting a lot of momentum and attention today as opposed to years before. And I won't be surprised moving forward, right? When we talk about progressive education going forward, I won't be surprised if homeschooling is going to be an option that parents would actually choose instead of sending them to the traditional education setting. In what is to come and with what we are doing today, there are loads of blended motion in education that is taking place. Okay, blended learning offers creativity and innovation and must be explored more. Okay, so in a nutshell, COVID-19 has brought a lot of issues, but through this particular research, all we wanted to say here is when we create and innovate, and when we blend different approaches, and when we make our teaching much more appealing and interesting, and when we make our classes, though online, much more colorful in terms of content, the triangulation of the different blended approaches would actually, right, improve, enhance students' interest to learn. And that is the most important thing. So the big question here is, moving forward, we must always make sure that whatever we do, our students, the approach that we take must be appealing to them. We must actually get their attention because their survival tomorrow depends on what we do today. With that, I thank you. And I look forward for questions. Thank you so much. I'll pass back to Dr. Ari. Thank you.
Dr. Hisham, for your presentation. Well, all the participants, it's time for you to ask questions or maybe give comment, asking further details, etc. to refresh what has been presented by Professor Habil, I would like to mention again the topic. The topic is gamification in higher education. And in her study, Professor Habil used a model called MDA, Mechanics Dynamic Aesthetic Models. Right? Mechanics mean there must be some regulatory in the game. There must be game rule. And the next one, behavior. In that model, the students have to interact. And then, beside that one, the students also have to give responses from the players. Okay? And the research is conducted in 3 stages or 3 phases. Start from identifications of the problem, and then the next one about the implementation of gamifications, and the last one is evaluations. Evaluations, not only evaluations of the product, but evaluations including to the process of gamification. And the conclusions of Prof. Habil's studies are very interesting. All right. The first one, she concluded that hard to complete the task because in gamification using MDA model, there are several tasks, not only tasks for the students, but also tasks for the teacher. And the next one, it includes problem solving. The students are demanded to solve the problem and also create new method. All right, well, not to waste the time and reduce your time to ask questions. It's time for you to ask questions to the 2 presenters. First, Professor Dr. Habil, and then the second presenter, Dr. Hisham Dzakiria. Dr. Hisham Dzakiria talked about blended learning, right? And the main point of Dr. Hisham Dzakiria is that the teacher should be able to provide any education, or we have as a teacher to ensure that teaching learning process run well, whatever the conditions is. Right? Well, dear participants, it's time for you. You may raise your hand, or you may also write in the chat box. Yes. One question.
Hello.
Dr. Hisham? Dr. Hisham would like to ask a question?
I'm here.
Yes. All right. Okay. Dr. Hisham?
Dr. Hisham.
Yeah, please.
I have a question to you concerning your opinion to Indonesian education. What do you think about the Indonesian education based on the view of people from the other country?
Okay, well, I think education in all nations are good. I'm not in a position to comment about Indonesian education, but looking at how Indonesia is growing economically and otherwise, I think you are doing it rightly. I think education in Indonesia is good. It is picking up. But of course, Indonesia has a very big population. Yeah, a very big population. Therefore, learning opportunities must be, I always believe that we have to democratize education to all. Whether your population is 200 million or whether your population is 36 million, the most important thing is to ensure that all citizens, right, from a very young age to an older age, they have to be given an opportunity to learn, whether it's in school, whether it's in secondary school, and up until tertiary education. I think Indonesia has a lot to explore, has a lot of potential. Indonesia is a great nation. I think we will see 5-10 years from now, Indonesia will grow as an Asian tiger, just like China and other developed nation. There's a lot of potential in Indonesia, and people in Indonesia are very, very creative. Yeah, if you look at your agricultural sector, for example, right? If you look at the farmers in Indonesia, for example, they may not have too big of a land, but how do they cultivate? They cultivate many things. They plant many things around their house, right? So hunger is not an issue in Indonesia. So Indonesia, in many ways, many countries are modeling your agricultural approach as well. So I think Indonesia has a lot of potential in education as well. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Other questions? It is also still directed to Dr. Hisham. The question is, since blended learning, meaning that in certain time the teacher teach in a classroom and in another time the teacher use another platform, not in a classroom. So how can blended learning be implemented during this COVID pandemic, especially in Indonesia? There is no classroom meeting. The students fully online with the teacher. Thank you. This question is from Pak or Ibu Ismi. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ibu Isni. So basically, yes, to have a blended approach can also be very tricky. Yeah? Some people are asking, how do you blend face-to-face and also online learning? Well, the very answer to that is one need to be creative and innovative. One must find a time. I understand that students in Indonesia are going online all the way, which is very good, but we have to ensure that the activities that we give and provide to the students, right, are basically focusing on student-centeredness, meaning we want them to actually use the resources resourceful. So we have to make sure that the activities are engaging. So the type of activity, the type of question that we pose, the type of assignment that we ask students to do must actually build on learning opportunity. Yeah, it's a difficult time today, Dr. Ari, because there is no one formula to say something that we do in Malaysia works well for the whole world. There is no such solution. Every nation, every community, every school must actually venture out trying new things, okay? Blended learning is one of the way forward moving, simply because we can't have face-to-face today. In fact, as I said, moving forward, probably we will not even revert back to our conventional days. Online learning is here to stay, but the very issue here is how do we ensure that the learning is interactive between the students and the teachers, between students, and between all the stakeholders. I think that is key. If we are able to build on that, then we don't have to worry going forward. Students will continue to learn and teachers will continue to teach. Thank you, Dr. Ari.
All right. Dr. Hisham. Well, there is another question. This question is directed to Professor Habil. Very good questions. I would like to read the questions. How to eliminate students' perceptions bias in answering the effectiveness of gamification. And then the next one, gamification implication. And the next question is, what method to develop gamified subject and how long it takes time? Thank you. This is from Pak Prihandoko. Professor Habil, time is yours to answer.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to answer the questions all together. I think how can we implement gamification effectively, and how do you can use it in the teaching learning process. I think you have to know a lot about the main idea and the process of gamification. After that, you have to visit some workshops, maybe see some movies and read books and some scientific papers, because we had no experience when we started to teach based on this method. We realized that we cannot handle the students' attention, and we cannot find a suitable method to engage them. That's why we try to use this method. We didn't have any special knowledge about this topic, so we try to work out and use it. I think you have to have experience. We have learned a lot about this course, and we will use this experience in the next case as well. I think the main demand is to find a suitable form, because it was a seminar. And the tasks have to be in harmony with the oral lessons thematics. So we had to find a suitable task, and it's a really big requirement that this frame has to be ensured logical process. So the tasks have to build to each other, and it will ensure that from the start point to the end point, the students will work continuously. The other important thing is that you have to form the persona. As I have mentioned in my presentation, it is a very big task to know the students. What is this group, what interested them. So it's very important to see their attitude and behavior and interest, and we had to fit the frame to their requirements. And the next questions was, yes, I think this method is not too fashionable or not too often used method in Hungary. That's why only some teachers use it, especially in the higher education. I think in grammar school or in case of small students, teacher can use this method, but in the higher education is not too often used solution. As I realized, to prepare this course is really time consuming, because you have to think each task, and you have to find logic, and you have to check each cases when the students prepared or uploaded their solutions, and we have to give prompt feedback them. So I think it's really time consuming and it requires a lot of energy and attention to prepare this task and compose all semester. I hope I could answer everything. Yes, I think because the students like to play games, that's why we didn't meet bias. So I am not sure that the students had some problem in advance with this solution. I don't think that we would have handled this problem. Thank you.
All
I
right.
think
Okay.
I try to
Thank
answer.
you very much, Dr. Habil. I would like to check whether there is still questions or not. Okay. All right. No more questions. What about from the audience, offline audience? Do you have any questions directed to Dr. Hisham and also Professor Habil? Okay. No more questions. Well, Dr. Habil, Professor Habil, sorry. Thank you very much for your comprehensive presentation, and hopefully that your research will give us some ideas to do another research related to gamification in Indonesian's context. And
thank you very much.
In your explanations, you have several activity for your students: problem solving, movie, analyzing, situational games, individual and group work, and also quizzes, meaning that the students have many different kinds of activity. And I'm sure these kind of activities that make the students in your study feel interested and also get the material or the knowledge easier remembered in their mind for longer time, because the students not only listening to the teachers but also exploring, doing something and solving something, and this will make the students able to keep the knowledge stay longer in their mind. Okay, yeah, right.
Yes,
And
thank
then
you
for,
very much.
yeah, thank you. And Dr. Hisham, I have a question actually, especially related to how did you actually conduct your blended learning. But because of the time, maybe you may explain my questions later through chat or email, especially related
Sure,
to
sure.
how,
I'm also, yeah,
yeah,
Dr. Ari, I'm
yeah,
also,
yeah, okay, yeah, thank you.
I'm also hoping to send the full article to you very soon.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hisham. Well, Professor Habil, once again, thank you very much. And Dr. Hisham, thank you very much. We hope that we can have this kind of forum in another occasions and another or further result for other studies of Professor Habil and also Dr. Hisham. Thank you very much. But before we end
Thank you so much.
our meeting, all of us, the participants and also the committee, would like to have a photo sessions together through the link. And I would like to have all the participants to open their camera, put it live camera, so that we can have the photo sessions together with the participants. In this evening, we still have at least 155 participants joining this conference. Okay, ready? Yes. Okay. 1, 2.
Okay, see you again, Mr. Dr. Hisham Dzakiria.
Okay, see you again.
Yeah, hope we could meet
Take care.
again.
Take care.
Yeah, in another meeting, yeah, another session. And
Inshallah.
also, Prof. Andrea, Benscik, yeah, your material was very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, I was interested actually in management, was it? Management change, yeah.
Yes,
Interesting department.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you all of the
Thank you.
committee.
The keynote speakers, the participants, the parallel presenters, thank you very much. And nice to see you next time. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Check, check. Thank you, Dr. Arinuwani MA, for moderating the keynote presentations.
Selanjutnya kami informasikan kepada seluruh peserta untuk dapat mengisi daftar hadir dan form evaluasi yang tersedia pada kolom chat. Hadirin yang kami hormati, demikianlah serangkaian agenda The Second International Conference on Progressive Education 2020.
We look forward to seeing you in the third International Conference on Progressive Education next year.
Saya Afrizal Yuda Setiawan dan rekan saya
Dewi Lestari
mengucapkan terima kasih atas kebersamaan Anda. Sampai jumpa dan kami akhiri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kepada seluruh peserta, kami persilakan untuk dapat meninggalkan ruang virtual ini.
For all keynote speakers and participants, you may leave the meeting room. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Kepada seluruh panitia, kami mohon untuk dapat berfoto bersama.